Well, good day, Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us for this live recording of our episode 56 of Rural Pastors Talk. We appreciate you being here on social media. That's why we greet you first. If you listen to the podcast later through iTunes or something like this, those people ain't getting what y'all getting.
Nope.
It's special.
They
just for
are
you.
completely missing my deer antlers. I have felt so left out by not having my own deer antlers up, so that I taped some to the top of my tripod. And they're
Very
movable.
nice.
I can point them in any direction.
Yes, indeed. Hey, if you're on Facebook, which you are because you're watching this right now,
And YouTube.
and well, you could be on YouTube. If you would share this, like it, smash the buttons,
Smash it. Smash that like button.
press the things.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's an encouragement to us. And some of you aren't rural pastors, and I just wanted to say, hey, we appreciate you listening to this as well, and hopefully you find something encouraging for your own spiritual edification through this. So, ready to begin the show?
I believe so.
All
Joe,
right.
you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Hey, Ministry Amigo, nice jams. What are you listening to?
Just my new motivational pastor playlist I made on Spotadora.
Nice. Are we talking like old school Striper, 90s worship, Cheese Fest, Hillsong Smash Hits Yoga Edition, or what?
Well, those are all totally righteous choices, Pastor Pal. But I made this one to keep me focused on the straight and narrow. So first, it's Billy Don't Be a Hero, because pastors aren't supposed to be heroes, you know what I mean? Then I got
Yeah, man.
Here Comes the Sun, because, well, hopefully that's true. Then there's Stairway to Heaven, because, duh. And CCR, they had that one song, Rolling, Rolling, Rolling Through the Drive-Thru. Remember that one? That's good for pastors. Then there's those lesser-known Beatles songs like, Pastor, get up from behind your desk or you're going to get a blood clot. Or that one from the Rolling Stones, maybe you should consider turning off your phone and locking all the doors and hiding in a closet so you can get your sermon done. And, you know, I don't usually listen to a lot of rap, but there's that one Eminem song called, Yo, Who Took My Diet Coke? That one totally hit home.
Regaining control of your mind and schedule on this episode of Rural Pastors Talk.
Thank you for joining us for another edition of Rural Pastors Talk, a podcast highlighting the advancement of Christ's kingdom in rural places, just like the town you live in. The rural church is not the baby pool we splash around in before moving on to bigger opportunities. It is not the place we're confined to until we can take off the training wheels. This is not God's penalty box as a punishment for breaking the rules. No, Jesus died for his people, and as long as Christ's people live in rural places, a vibrant, healthy, multiplying presence of his church will be there too. My name is TJ Freeman. I'm the lead pastor of Wellsboro Bible Church in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania, where winter dies hard.
Yeah, seriously.
How are you enjoying the liquid sunshine out there, brother?
Ugh, it's a rough one. That's why
Hey,
here comes the sun.
Doo-doo-doo.
And I'm joined by these mysterious people talking to me. Who are?
Hey, I'm Pastor Joe Wagner from God's Family Fellowship in the same rainy, not even drizzly, but rainy Wellsboro, Pennsylvania.
What's going on, guys? This is Joshua McLaren, pastoral assistant at Wellsboro Bible Church.
So, guys, I didn't tell you this ahead of time, but this needs to be a short episode. And it's not for the reason you think. It's not because producer Josh is telling us it needs to be shorter. It's not because Corey Mitchell's done tying his shoes. It's not because Tim Madden wrote in with another discouraging email.
Poor Tim.
It is. Actually, I got an email from Tim, a Facebook message. I haven't responded back, Tim. I'm sorry. Hopefully by the time you watch this, I have. It started off, I know you hate me, but. So, anyway, this is shorter because I have nothing to drink. I have no seltzer. They're gone. I went to the cupboard, and the cupboard was bare. I have no iced coffees because, well, it's expensive and coronavirus. And then I could find nary a Dixie cup of liquid in my office. So I'm beverageless, which means I'm suffering.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It would probably be wrong for me to offer you some of my coffee in the midst of a pandemic, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't think I could get 6 feet from where your lips have been. So, yes, that would be wrong.
TJ, just to let you know, I am drinking Reholded Folgers out of my Embrace Your Inner Mermaid cup right now.
What was the first word the adjective to describe your Folgers?
Yes. Embrace, I think.
Reheated in the microwave.
Oh, reheated.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, that's gross on a bunch of levels. So I was researching earlier this morning how to or like less acidic coffees, because the heartburn isn't a fun thing to deal with,
Yeah.
and that's why I've been backing off the coffee. But the less acidic coffees are less cost-effective coffees as well, and they'll probably just do the same thing. So anyway, question for you guys. You've been in rural ministry for a while. Joe, you longer than me. Josh, you a few whiles.
A few whiles.
Yes. I'd like to know from both of you, and I'll share myself, what's something that bugs you about being rural? Just something small. What?
Ticks.
Oh,
Bugs.
literally.
That's
I see
all
what you
right,
did
literally.
Ah.
there. Well
Sorry,
done. Well done.
It's been quarantined for way too long.
When our friend from Philadelphia came up, he shared that he is terrified of ticks.
Yeah.
And so that is a real thing, being bothered by ticks. So I'll accept that, Joe, unless you want to repent.
I'll stay right there because
Okay.
I think that's a good one. That and like lack of concerts and those sorts of cultural sorts of things.
Yeah, there's not been a cake show here in Wellsboro that I know of.
Nope. There was a hat show.
Well, I'm talking about the band Cake
Oh,
that Joe listens to.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Well,
No problem, young millennial.
whoopsie.
There was a hat show. That's a cool band too, Hat. All
Yeah.
right. Anyway,
Oh, my fog hat.
yeah, there
That's
you
for
go.
our boomers out there.
Oh,
Josh,
man.
what's
Yes.
something that's small that's bugs you about being rural in general?
Something that's small. Probably driving. Needing to drive. I would much prefer having shops not an hour away.
Mm.
So
Every one of mine are food related. Chick-fil-A. I have an idea though. Like, you know how they have Chick-fil-A's on college campuses?
Mhm.
Why can't they have a similar thing in rural towns, like a Chick-fil-A light?
like a half. Yeah, half.
But like,
Chick-fil-A.
put it
like
with
half a Starbucks.
Yeah.
yes, that's what I was
honestly.
gonna say. Put it with another business, and you know what the business is? It's an unexpected one. You ready for it?
Go for it.
The drugstore. Because even small rural towns have a Rite Aid or a Walgreens or
We have two.
a CVS.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you partner up with one of those, and you can get your prescriptions filled and Chick-fil-A while you're waiting.
Rite Aid already has a drive-through.
They do have a drive-through.
Yeah.
It could be glorious. It have to be a limited menu. I understand, but anyway, so that's it. I did see sushi at the
Like
grocery store.
Chick-fil-A's menu is not already limited.
Well,
Not the full one.
when you go to the college campus, though, it's
All right.
You can
You
get
know, it's
like
the
a
top
number one,
items.
a number two, and some milkshakes.
But why would you want anything else?
You're not wrong.
Yeah. The number one is the way to go. And normally I love lettuce, tomato, onions. Not on the Chick-fil-A.
No?
Just sauce. That's it. So if you're still with us, thank you so much for sticking through all of that. But I do want to get to our topic at hand. And it has to do with our title. It's kind of an interesting title. Who's eating your lunch? So remember elementary school when you're in line to go get your lunch and the big bully picks you up and hangs you by your toes and steals your lunch money?
Mm-hmm.
Did that happen to you a lot, Josh?
No.
Joe, did that ever happen to you?
I was the bully.
You were the bully. It never happened to me either, but I remember seeing it on cartoons as a kid where they would steal the lunch money. I did in 5th grade have somebody steal my bagged lunch, and they took the prize out of it, the king-size Butterfinger.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I told the teacher, and the teacher said give it back, and I remember he broke it in half, and he handed it back to me.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the only.
What a jerk.
Well,
I wasn't
let
that kind of
bygones
bully.
be bygones. I did some bad things in 5th grade too. I probably would have broken a candy bar. So I never actually had my lunch eaten, but there's the expression or the phrase, "Man, it just ate my lunch." So to help us understand really the full concept of what we're talking about, I went to a highly reliable, academic, trusted source. You know what it was?
Wikipedia.
No,
Oh.
even better.
Millennial.
I have no idea.
Urban
Oh
Dictionary.
man. Dangerous.
So according to Urban Dictionary, ate my lunch is a term commonly used to indicate that someone, often the speaker, has come off the loser. This phrase can be applied to competitions such as video games and sporting events, as well as such things as writing papers or taking tests.
Yeah.
So how was the econ test? Dude, totally ate my lunch.
Dude, it
Dude.
totally ate my lunch.
Yo, did you see Manning just get sacked?
Yeah, that linebacker totally ate his lunch.
There you go. Nice, Patrick. I like your accent. Robert Adair. So here's the thing, guys. As pastors, especially pastors in rural places, there are many things that can eat our lunch. So I want you to take a little inventory, and I'm asking you the question, who or what is eating your lunch? What is dominating you and your schedule, your thoughts, your schedule? And we just came up with 4 quick things. There are a number of others. 4 ways ministry can eat your lunch. Who wants the first one?
I'll take the first one.
You got it.
You are unorganized.
How rude.
If you are continually running around looking for your notebook and your iPad and then your Bible and then that Bible and then the other Bible and then this commentary, and if you forget that you have a Zoom meeting here and you forget that you have this here and then you're continually playing catch up, that can definitely eat your lunch because everything seems like it becomes 2 or 3 times harder. And what you're trying to get one thing done, then you just run out of time and you miss it completely altogether. So like there's that immediate unorganization of your immediate surroundings, but then there's like the broader sort of unorganization of having your sermons planned out, having your services planned out, having a good calendar, knowing when your counseling sessions are going to be. If you are unorganized, you can get your lunch eaten in a hurry.
So, yes, Pastor, if it's Saturday and you're trying to figure out what you're going to preach on tomorrow, you fit into this category. If you're picking songs from the hymnal as you're walking into church Sunday morning and that's just what we'll sing that day, you fall into this category. If you don't use a calendar regularly and you just think, I'll remember, you fall into this category. If you were going to hire somebody to work on your house and they're constantly going back out to the truck to get more tools, by the time they're done with the job, you're thinking, I probably could have paid somebody half this price because this guy's charging me for things that he just was unorganized with. As opposed to my dear friend Luke Forging, who came to my house to help me with the project, and he was like, okay, before I do anything, I want to know where's the closest place to this job that I can set up my saw. Is it okay if I lay out a drop cloth here so I can actually do some cutting right next to it so I'm not constantly running in and out? He had flip-flops just in case he was going to have to walk through mud so that he could quickly change out of his work boots into his flip-flops back and forth for in the house. That organization went a long ways in my mind. Pastor, why would we be any different? I mean, we should be thinking through the details of ministry and setting up a structure and being organized so that we can serve our congregation well. Some of us just need to park there, and I would encourage you, take a day retreat and get organized. Figure out this. We have previous episodes about this. Josh, do you remember what number they were?
I could look it up. Put
You
it in the
could?
show notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll be in the show notes.
Yep.
That's awesome. I thought in that like magical mind you have, you might have just memorized
I
them
don't
all.
think so.
Okay. So yeah, Pastor, get organized. Joe, what's the second one?
When you allow the choices of others to control you.
Yee.
Take that away.
Yeah, flesh that out a little bit.
I will.
Cool.
So yeah, if you are the kind of guy who ministers like a ping pong ball, there's this need, there's that person, there's this task, there's boom, 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 boom. You're just all over the place. You may be giving into the temptations to allow other people to control your schedule. So there's several examples of this. One would be somebody who makes poor choices, and then they expect you to bail them out for some reason. So, Pastor, I've done this, I've said this, I've got this problem, I need something from you every week, whatever. And they're just they're relying on you in a way that's not good. So I'm not saying like we don't sacrifice to help others. I'm not saying we only help those who have done everything right. But we all know what it's like to have a person who wants to have your attention regularly. They may need some help understanding some boundaries for phone calls so that they're not calling you at 6 a.m. and again at 9 at night and then several times throughout the day. They might need some boundaries to help you be able to talk to some other people after church where they're the first one that comes to you and then they stay with you the whole time. There may be that person who they just get into these deep emotional pits, but they're really frequent and they're expecting you to constantly go to their house. Somebody who maybe isn't raising their child in the way that they should go, and there's a chaotic moment in their home and they expect you to come over and save the day. Some of these kind of things that we have pastoral hearts. We want to serve. We want to love. We do make these sacrifices regularly, and we should. But we need to be careful if there's a pattern that emerges where we are just running from other people's emergencies to other people's emergencies that really aren't emergencies or shouldn't be if that person is not just depending on someone else. So I think shepherding includes training people to stand up on their own feet, trusting the Lord as the one leading them through these things, not just kind of being codependent on someone else. Did I say that graciously yet clear enough?
Pretty well, yeah. You did a great job. I just
Yeah.
want to add just one thing.
Do
and
it.
You've said it. Learn how to say no.
Yeah.
You are allowed to say no. Matter of fact, I encourage you to say no more often. Learn when you do not have to respond to a text immediately. Learn when you do not have to respond to an email immediately. Learn when you can let that telephone call go to voicemail.
Yeah.
Those things, if you just, those things can consume you. I know that you guys are the same way that I am. Your phones blow up almost all day long. And I know, matter of fact, that you guys are living your lives like what I do, like we have to. Sometimes, TJ, I'll send you a text and I won't get a response for hours or maybe even a day or two. And this is the same way with me. You got stuff to do. We're busy doing stuff. And you know what? That can wait, and that is okay. And I am totally not mad or upset about that at all because I understand. And when you start establishing that, like emergencies you respond to, but if you set aside a time to be able to respond to that text in a thoughtful way when you are able to, then you establish that sort of practice and you let people know what's going on. That's going to save you so much time, and you will not get eaten up so much by that busy work that TJ was describing.
Could I jump in?
Please do.
Yeah. One of the things that we've talked about in prior episodes, is it cares for your family really well. Like if you're at home in the evening, it's a great opportunity to shut your phone off, to love your wife, your kids, because you need to minister to them. You know, you're called as their husband and as their spiritual leader, the one who's primarily meant to bring them up the way they should go. So it's just really important.
Doesn't BG doesn't even answer emails after 5 o'clock. At least he did that for a while. Like that's a good practical thing.
I'm not in his inner circle enough to call him BG.
I had to translate for him.
Yes. Yeah. Joe, you may have a grizzly bear attacking your microphone. I'm not sure. It kind of sounds that way. So, I would say we need to be shepherds. We need to lead well, serve people well, sacrifice for people, love them well. That's primary. But we cannot be controlled by this constant ping pong ball effect. And I think that's something that we give into a lot as pastors. So, Pastor, you have permission from us to put your phone on silent sometimes, to be able to say, I'll get back to you, and to be able to have conversations with people that teach and train them and disciple them to be true disciples dependent on Christ and helping others rather than taking all of the time to be helped all the time. So that's it. And you're going to have a hard time doing that if you are number 3, a people pleaser. So
I'm guilty.
Guilty?
I'm raising my hand on that one.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm sure we all can do this at sometimes. I didn't really realize how much I did that until I read Ed Welch's book, When People Are Big and God Is Small. And he doesn't leave much room for anybody to skate through that thing. But when we are people-pleasing, we are not primarily God-pleasing first. And whether it's the complex of I want to be liked, or I don't want to upset this person because of a consequence. Maybe they'll be mean. Maybe they'll withhold finances from the church. Maybe they'll leave. Maybe they'll whatever. All of those reasons that we might be tempted to be people pleasers, that is not honoring to the Lord. And yet, often we struggle with that. And there's one more.
All right. Doing instead of equipping.
Big one.
I can have a tendency to do this one too. I would rather do the ministry because it's easier for me to just do the ministry than for me to explain it, teach somebody, train somebody how to do it. They might not do it exactly how I want to do it. So I'm just tempted to just do it myself instead of equipping and training somebody else to do that. Oh my goodness, that is terrible. That is just to get into, because not only is it going to eat you alive, but it is not training your people how to serve out there. in the fringes where the actual ministry is taking place. Just an example that just yesterday we're wrapping up an outreach ministry and everybody had left, and there was one gal that was still in the parking lot, and she said, "Hey, do you need any help to clean up?" And my immediate response was, "Nope, I got it. That's okay," because I didn't want to put her out of her way. But then I was like, dude, she is asking to help. She is asking to be involved in this ministry, and it's something that she is able to do. And I'm like, actually, you know what? Yeah, can you go and do this? And she's like, yep, sounds great, fantastic. Sweet. And she had it all done by the time I got there. I mean, that's just a small example, but this can go out. TJ, you bust on me all the time for teaching way too many Bible studies, right? If I were to equip other people to teach those Bible studies, then that's going to free up my time to be able to equip more people to teach Bible studies or to be able to reach people in genuine need.
So true. Yeah. Yeah. This ranges from mediocre or mundane is the word I was looking for. Mundane tasks to really significant things. Yeah. So if you're doing all the preaching in your church, that's not good for you. For you to preach 52 sermons a year for 50 years in a row, that is brutal. It's honestly wrong, because as disciple makers, we should be training other people to do the things that we do, including preaching. We also don't want the whole church to be used to one personality up there. And we've seen this before in big churches. When the big famous pastor leaves, his replacement is viewed oftentimes as like second class. He's just not as good. So this personality-based ministry approach is not healthy or helpful for the congregation. So something even as big as preaching, we should be finding other guys who we're training to preach. And then all the way down to yesterday, our sanctuary exploded with COVID.
Hurricane.
Not with COVID itself, but when COVID happened, hurricane, like we started with this little camera over here and did this and ran these wires and these extension cords. And then pretty soon there's this maze of extension cords and chairs pushed aside and tech gadgets all over the place and broken stuff and my tuna noodle casserole bowl that I couldn't
was
find.
Yours?
Sorry, yes.
So you're saying he didn't admit to it in the moment. Is that what you're saying?
I neither confirmed nor denied.
Joe, it was there. It was there for like 3 weeks.
But I didn't know where it was.
Right. No.
Yeah.
And I'm just like.
And then I found it.
Lydia and I was like, whose is that? We're like, all right.
That was me.
That's
you want to know confession?
What?
When I found it, I didn't want to open it because it's tuna noodle casserole and it's been there for weeks. So garbaggio.
Well done.
Yes. Anyway, so I was working on some of that stuff, and there were a number of things that I thought I could do this. It may take me a couple hours. I can get this done, or I could call somebody who would be willing to do it. So I did that, and it was hard for me because I really wanted it to be done yesterday. I like seeing a project go to completion. I like. We all have kind of a way in our own mind we want things to be done, and you like to see it that way. I want to make sure the chords are hidden well, yet accessible, stuff like that. And then, like, really, this is wrong for me to do this. So I ended up calling another brother, and he's down there right now. Yeah. As a matter of fact, he even helped us set up some lighting in here. Did. So thank you, Juanitos, John, who shares my namesake, my last name, Freeman, but we're not related. At least that's what they tell me. So yeah, I mean. Being the guy who does everything just shouldn't be the case. Our job, as we'll get to in a little bit, is to be an equipper, not a doer all of the time. So those are just 4 quick things. You could just sit down and write a list of other things that are grabbing your time, your attention, your focus. Maybe you're taking counseling sessions home in your mind and you're just dwelling on them. Maybe that elders meeting that didn't go so great wakes you up at 2 o'clock in the morning and just thinking about it. It's eating your lunch. It's taking away your sleep. Maybe you have a conflict, an interpersonal conflict with someone else in the church. Maybe you're worried about the finances. Maybe you're worried about when you're going to be able to meet again as a church. Maybe you're worried about getting a building that suits your needs. You've been church planting and roll in, roll out for a long time, and you're just hoping that you'll have a building. All these things that can dominate our thoughts and control us. That's what I'm talking about. These things that can eat your lunch and cause you to be a less effective minister of the gospel should stop. You know who should eat your lunch? You should eat your lunch.
You should eat your lunch.
You should eat your lunch. That's it. And in order to do that, you're going to have to take control of some things. First thing, Romans 12, 1 and 2. Which says what? Who knows?
Romans 12, 1 and 2?
Yeah.
That's the passage where Paul's talking about...
He does some beseeching.
Your living sacrifice.
Or some appealing. I like beseech better.
Beseech?
It's better than
beseech ye.
Better than besmirk. I appeal to you. I beseech thee therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, so that's the way, by the mercy of God, present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship, or some versions would say like your reasonable act of worship. And what do? Don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. So you want to do God's will, or you wouldn't be a pastor. You're there because you're not trying to like score bonus points with the Lord. You're not there because you think it's a higher calling than any other calling, I hope. You're not there because it's some super easy job you can do. You're there because you want to do the will of God. You want to be pleasing to him. How do you do that? By not being conformed to the world, not being this busy guy who bounces around with all these worries and concerns of this world, but by being somebody who is presenting himself to the Lord daily, saying, I want to be used by you, for you, in the way that you choose. So that means taking your thoughts captive. That means replacing worldly thinking with scriptural thinking, all kinds of stuff. You got to start there.
Yep.
It's critical. So Romans 12:1 and 2, do it. Do it every day, and that will totally redirect your trajectory of ministry. What else, Joe?
How about Ephesians 4:12?
How about it?
It seems like we continually come back to this verse and verses surrounding it, but this speaks directly to the equipping and training that we were talking about a little bit earlier. I'm going to start in 11. And he gave the apostles, prophets, evangelists, and shepherds and teachers. That's us, pastors.
That's one word. I mean, it's two.
Yes, sir, brother.
You said it as three, but it's one office.
Shepherds
what
and
about
teachers.
The fivefold ministry? The gold dust. Anyway.
Chapter 3. Chapter 3.
Okay. Pressing on.
To equip the saints for the work of the ministry, for building up of the body of Christ. We must equip the saints. We must train them. We must disciple them to be able to do the actual work of the ministry. I share with folks from my congregation all the time, if I'm the only one doing it, it's just one person that's doing it, and I ain't that good. But if all of you are doing it, then there's 60 or 70 or 80 people who are doing the ministry, and that is what a healthy church looks like. God, that's the way God has designed it, for us to be able to raise up people and equip them to do the work of the ministry. And it goes right back to obedience, guys. This is how the Lord has ordained the church to operate and work. It is. All right, so here's a quote. I believe it was from Dever from Lehman.
I heard of those guys.
It's important for us to teach, but it is more important for us to teach teachers. All right, so we need to equip people in their natural giftings to be able to do the works that God has prepared for them to do beforehand. That's what we're called to do. Equip them. And that's a big enough job to do that. And we are uniquely equipped to do that. So I would encourage you to be obedient to the directions that God has given to you as a pastor to equip your saints. Equip your elders to preach. Equip your elders to counsel. Equip your deacons to work and facilitate the work of the ministry. Equip the saints to do the ministry. And your church will be healthy and strong and vibrant and have an absolute impact on your community where the Lord has put you.
So, rural pastor, drop that bulletin. Don't make it your responsibility to do that.
You got it. Yeah, absolutely.
Find that other Bible study teacher, rural Joe pastor.
Bring someone into your counseling session.
Bring someone in. Take somebody on the hospital visits.
Teach somebody else how to lead a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Amen. Empower other small group leaders. All of these things. Don't do them all. So, Joe, if a brother is listening and he is doing like most of the work of ministry in that church, what condition is he in?
He's in condition of sin.
Ugh.
He's being disobedient.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I love you, brother. And my heart breaks and is compassionate for you, and I'm having mercy on you because I have been there. But listen, dude, you do not want to get whacked in the head with a 2x4 that the Lord will hit you with to knock you back into the line. And you certainly do not want the candlestick light of your church to glimmer.
Ouch.
You know? So listen, guys, get with the program. I cannot emphasize this enough. I was in that position not that long ago, and I can tell you how exhausting it is. The Lord brought people to your church. Jesus is the head of the church, and he has organized it. You can go and you can see how he has organized that body with hands, with eyes, with arms, with legs, with feet. These are the people that he has brought in. He is the head of each and every single individual church. Even if you don't think that there's anybody in your congregation that can do anything, then you're wrong, because there are people who can.
And God brought
them. And God brought them.
He gave you the people you have, not the people you want.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Amen.
So, and hopefully those people that you have are people that you want. But
sorry, I was soapboxing there for a while.
That's okay. I like it. And you're so right. So here's the deal. Jesus gave gifts to the church in the form of pastor teachers, or what gets structured as elders in the church. And if you're not doing that, then the church is not getting the gift. And the strange irony is you're trying to serve the Lord and you're fighting against his word. The same thing you're teaching other people not to do. So I think we've probably hammered that nail through into the dead horse that we beat with a whip in the tool shed. So next would be 1 Corinthians 2:2 and 3. This is huge. The verse says, "For I decided to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. And I was with you in weakness and in fear and much trembling." So this is a picture of Paul serving the Lord, and his driving passion is Christ and him crucified. I know we are talking to some brothers right now. Some brothers are listening who are not depending on the Lord and serving the Lord as their primary joy and focus. They've gotten caught up in the ministry trap of just, I'm ministering all the time. I got to do, get done. Sundays are coming. Your vital relationship with the Lord has grown distant. Your prayer life is not what you wish it would be. Your time in the Word is not as profitable, if it's even there. I know that there are brothers listening like that. Resolve now that you are going to pursue nothing except for Christ and him crucified. The chief end of man is not to be a minister of the gospel.
Yeah.
It is to love the Lord, to enjoy him, to worship him, to do what he's commanded because of that joyful overflow. So know Christ. Maybe today you just need to get alone with the Lord. You could even just stop this podcast. This is worthless compared to the treasure of knowing the Lord and knowing him in a way that is sweet, that is empowering, that is strengthening. That's what eternity is going to be. And go.
I want to jump in just real quick. One thing, because this is a difficult truth to be able to articulate to folks. And I think probably it's difficult to articulate to pastors too, because the things that TJ is talking about seem so difficult. They seem like this is a complete different attitude change, a different way of thinking. I don't know if I can attain that. One of the things that I've been able to teach my folks, Jesus's folks that he has given to me, a really concrete way to take a step in this direction, because we're always looking for something that we can do with our bodies. Like I say, step one, you need to orient yourself in an attitude of prayer and get on your knees. Like literally on your knees. Okay. So when you are on your knees, this is a normative pattern of prayer throughout Scripture. That's cool. That doesn't mean that every time that we have to pray, we're on our knees, but at least one time a day on your knees. And that will help your spirit and your brain be able to humble yourself before the Lord and to be able to go before him. And oftentimes when I'm praying on my knees, it's before I've had my first cup of coffee and my brain's not working good. So at that point, I'm not praying for a whole bunch of details. I'm just following the echo of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, you are holy, right? I'm just something just absolutely as simple as that. And just do it. Again, this is not a 12-step program. This is our primary focus in our relationship and our love for our Savior. On your knees helps the attitude of your heart and your spirit to be able to focus on that one thing of Christ and him crucified, understanding his love for his church and his obedience to the Father for that, to save her. So if you want one concrete thing to actually do, that is what I would recommend.
Good recommendation.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Then you didn't say this part, but then you pray this circle around your family. Is that no? You weren't going there? Sorry, I misread the cues. All right.
You're wrong segue, man.
Wrong segue.
Can I share a portion of Scripture?
Please do.
So, brothers, I'm preparing to preach on Psalm 16, and if you are struggling with this third thing, and Christ is not sufficient for you, is not being your sufficient one who you go to. Psalm 16 is a phenomenal portion of Scripture to dwell on. I mean, in there, David says, I say to the Lord, I say to Yahweh, you are my master. I have no good apart from you. He says, Yahweh, the Lord, is my chosen portion and my cup. He holds my lot secure. He says, the lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Behold, I have a beautiful inheritance, because it is the Lord who is his inheritance. In verse 7, he's describing the reality that the Lord, bless the Lord, for he gives me counsel. And then verses 8 to 11 are a prophecy of Christ. And we see in verse 11 that you make known to me the path of life. In your presence is fullness of joy. You can't get any more full than fullness. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. So it's just been a psalm that's really blessed my soul since college, and I'm excited to share with our congregation. I would encourage you to spend some time reading and praying and soaking in Psalm 16. So
awesome, brother.
Thank you for that. I have a feeling that there are some brothers listening right now who've not been in the Word in a meaningful way in a while, and I hope what you just said is an encouragement. And I hope, brother, that we're not beating you up.
Yeah.
You have enough pressure and struggle and challenge, and we don't want this to be rural pastors beat up session.
Yeah.
But the truth is, if you're not engaging the Lord, you are in trouble. And
yeah, we don't want to beat you up unless you need beat up.
Yeah. So
right, because we love you.
Yeah. So take your roughing and do
we're
something
not
about
stealing
it.
your lunch money. We're giving you ours.
That's yeah, good way to say it. That's great. So,
is there an SOS, TJ?
That's a coffee alarm.
Coffee alarm. Yes, it is. There is an SOS. You know what we need?
What do we need?
We need help. And I know who can help us. You, the listener. And you know what you can do? Throw us a lifeline. The first part of that is an S. Subscribe. Would you subscribe to our podcast? On iTunes is the best because it's the most commonly used platform, and it will help people find Rural Pastors Talk. We are not trying to build an audience. We are trying to engage a community, and the more easily we can make this community accessible, the more beneficial it will be to people who would benefit from beneficial things.
Yes.
You like that?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome.
And then the second part, the O, would you do what, Joe?
Offer a review, and please, in your grace and your mercy, please offer us some higher scoring reviews if you would. This will also help us to be able to reach more and other folks. There's lots of different places where people are going to, or pastors can go and they can listen. And we're not saying that we're any better than any other ones at all, but we're just saying that we might have a little bit of a unique perspective, and we would love for pastors to be able to see what that rural pastor perspective is and be strengthened and encouraged by what we have to offer. So if you could offer a 5-star review,
so that
would be super helpful.
Those two things, subscribing and the reviews, that helps us catch the algorithm wave that we want to ride into higher placements on iTunes. Again, not for the purpose of audience building, but so that the community is more easily identified. And then
easily beneficial.
Yes.
There you go.
Lastly, share. If you would be willing to share this podcast, one way is by sharing it on social media. Another way, though, and a better way, is to reach out to a pastor friend and say, hey, brother, just thought this might be something that would help you. It's been encouragement to me, and share it with someone else. So that would be awesome. And here's the other thing. I want to hear something from everyone. Which camera do I look at, Josh? This one. So if you would, Josh had this really cool secret code worked out where he was going to show me with his fingers which camera to work out, but I can't pay attention to all that stuff. So if you would write to us as a rural pastor and let us know two things. One way you're encouraged as a rural pastor, something that you appreciate, that a benefit, a joy. And then secondly, would you tell us 1 or 2 or 3 challenges that you faced as a rural pastor? We want to be thinking through these things carefully. We are in the Northeast. We understand some Northeast issues in rural settings. Some of you might be in other parts of the country or around the world. And if you could let us know some things specific to your ministry context or just rural pastoring in general that's been a challenge to you, we'd really like to hear that. Or if you would just drop us a line and say hello. Oh, I forgot something.
What?
We did get a review recently.
We did.
Yes.
We got
Can I talk and give a silent E in our SOS?
Okay.
It'd be great if you guys could engage with some of the things we're posting on Facebook and Twitter. That would help with the algorithm, and it's just good to create the community. We're going to be putting out questions hopefully once a week of, like this past week it was, how did the Lord call you into rural ministry? We would love to hear how the Lord has called you and equipped you into rural ministry. So if you could be engaging with the social media posts, that would be phenomenal. Thanks, guys.
That would be
Hey,
phenomenal.
just one more thing before the social media post. Josh, I really appreciate the great quote that you put up last week that said Joe Wagner said it, but I was literally reading off the paper that TJ Freeman wrote on that quote. So you got to give that.
Easy, Captain Humility. You said it. So I wanted to read our most recent review. You ready for it?
Yep.
Josh looks so much like Stephen Furtick. I swear I'm looking at his twin. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
You know who I would have pegged for saying that? Scott Burke would have said that.
Oh, yes, this is true. So this is from Stuck on Ben. Stumbled on this during the COVID days and have really enjoyed it. It's a highlight each week! ! Thank you.
Praise the Lord.
They are offering a needed resource about a space people don't appreciate. Thanks for all you do. That's super encouraging, man. Thank you for that.
Man.
Thanks, man.
Thank
And
you.
then I love this name, Chuck, the Axe Defenstrator. I don't even know if I said that right. Is that like a thing? Defenstrator?
I don't know. Is it like a defense demonstrator?
Defenstrator.
I have no
Chuck,
idea.
the Axe Defenstrator. Well, Chuck
Dude,
says,
you need to send us a picture of you in the pulpit because I just cannot envision that.
I want to see that. Yeah. He says, helpful, parentheses, even to a layman. I think I've heard every episode, and I'm not even a pastor, but I am rural. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
God bless you, man, and your efforts to draw attention to the unique situations rural churches find themselves in, and their pastors who have to be many things to many people. So, Chuck, the Axe Defenstrator, thank you, brother.
Thanks, brother.
That's an encouraging one for us.
Thanks, man.
Yes, we do really appreciate those, and if you're thinking, boy, those were fun to hear, send us some more, and we'll read them on the air.
There you go.
Funny ones.
Funny. Oh, boy, I don't know what you just did,
Usernames
Joe,
or-
but Pandora's box has been opened. All right, you guys, Josh, where can people reach us?
Well, if you guys want to email us, you can email us ruralpastorstalk with an S at gmail.com, ruralpastorstalk@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can tweet at us. Those
That's
are
it?
the three.
Okay.
Yep. And you can find us on YouTube, Facebook. We go live every Thursday afternoon, late afternoon, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, every Thursday.
4:30-ish or 4:30?
4:30.
Okay.
Oh,
God
ish.
willing,
I'm
we will
ish.
go live 4:30
All right.
Eastern every Thursday.
Very good. Unless things blow up and fall apart,
Yes.
which has happened.
Yes.
But hopefully that doesn't happen.
Or run out of battery.
Yes, that's right.
Top two.
All right, you ready to go to our top twos? Well, Joe, it's been a fun run so
Yes,
far,
DJ.
but we're not done. There's still more
No.
we shouldn't shun. You know what it is? Our top twos. You want to give us your favorite of the top
Yeah.
twos?
I was waiting for the fourth line of that rhyme that you had going on. Okay, here are my top twos. I will start off with my spiritual top twos. Like I had shared last week, we are going to begin a new sermon series on the book of Revelation. And obviously that has taken a lot of study on my part. A lot of books about Revelation are 400 or 500 pages long, different commentaries that I've been reading and I've been poring over. I want to share with you a book that is 142 pages long. It is written in layman terms, and it is a super, super great introduction to some hermeneutics about reading Revelation. It also gives you a good framework and just puts things in a really super great and easy way to be able to understand. And it is The Power of His Reign. And just simply because there are so many different views on the book of Revelation, I will not share with you what the subtitle is so that you don't necessarily know whether it's what particular millennial view it's coming from.
So is that like an title you just shared? An subtitle?
It could be an title there.
Yeah.
The Power of His Reign by Jonathan Amen. 142 pages long. It's good stuff. I've devoured it in about a day and a half. So
Yeah.
I would really encourage you to read that. That is my spiritual top two. And then my non-spiritual top two, paper plates. Not the expensive Chinette ones, not any styrofoam ones, not any other ones. just this plain old, simple, thin paper plates that
From
the
the
macaroni
DG.
bleeds through that cost like $2 for 150 of them. Because I tell you what, I've been home a whole lot more often, and my kids use a lot of dishes. Paper plates have saved the day so that my wife and I have not had to do so many dishes because I help.
Yes. You should probably stock up on those for when you go back to work and your wife is still home.
yeah, but she's not still home.
Oh, that's true. Yes, good point.
That is the problem.
That is the challenge, yes. So don't get her that as a Mother's Day gift then.
That's coming up too. Yeah. Hey, here's my top 3. Don't forget Mother's Day.
Yes. My top 4 is don't let the nation decide how you should spend your money and treat your wife well every day. How's that?
Well, like I don't.
You do.
Right,
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Hallmark.
Oh,
yeah.
Pent up Hallmark aggression.
That made up Valentine's holiday, Hallmark holiday anyway.
Yes.
All right, TJ, what are your top 2, or do you want to throw it to Josh? Which way you want to go?
Take
Josh,
it away, TJ.
No, you got it. I knew you were going to say that.
Okay. So I'm going.
Yeah, go.
Hello. My top 2 would be the 1689 London Baptist Confession. So I am not catechized, wasn't catechized as a kid, didn't even know what a catechism was.
I hear that if you do that later in life, it's more painful.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Oh, okay.
No,
wait, no, catechism. Oh, okay. Never mind. I got it.
What did you think I said?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So, wasn't catechized, didn't even know what a catechism was until I was a junior in college.
When Paul refused to catechize Timothy?
I don't remember
that.
No?
Oh, okay.
Jesus was catechized on the 12th day.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, all of that being said,
did you ever pick up what we were...
I'm pretty sure I got it. Yeah.
Here's the joke, and here's Josh.
Yeah.
I apologize to any of our listeners who just got offended.
Moving on.
Good thing this is at the end and nobody's listening anyway.
Yeah, that's right. That's
right. I think it's important, and I think it's a useful tool in discipling children. My wife and I are expecting our first child, and I was like, why don't we catechize ourselves before we catechize our children? So...
What? You know what? You're catechizing your unborn child.
It's ruined.
So the 1689 London Baptist Confession, obviously, some great ones are the Westminster, all of those things. The 1689 is basically a carbon copy of the Westminster, except for the...
Not Presbyterian.
Not Presbyterian, not Baptistic, not Paedo-Baptistic, but Credo. So, and that's where we would fall doctrinally. And it's been really good. We do a couple of numbers. It's based off of a number. It starts with the Holy Scriptures, and then it's getting into the doctrine of God now. And it takes just a few sentences to describe what the systematic understanding of things like Scripture, God, man, and then it gives helpful Bible verses that you can look up. So my wife, I read the catechism. My wife finds the Scripture verses, and she reads them. We discuss, and it's been good.
Yeah, if you come to an elders meeting, though, and tell us we should have no statement of faith other than the 1689.
I'm not going to do that.
All right. So
as much as we pick on you, Josh, I just want to commend you and Lydia at 20-odd-something years old. That is very, very impressive.
This is true.
Mature. Any pastor and his wife to catechize one another the same way you guys are.
Well, yeah. Praise the Lord.
Well done.
Thanks, brother.
It's awesome. It's an encouragement. All right, my top 2s.
TJ.
Taking it away. Number 1, this is going to be my spiritual one, even though it's not that spiritual of a thing per se in its own right, but the way we're using it is spiritual. You can't really meet with the church staff right now, and I know in a lot of rural churches that's not a big deal, but you do have ministry teams and things like this. You may have 1 or 2 staff that you work alongside, or you may have several. And it not being together in the building presents some unusual challenges. So we took advantage of this service called Slack. It's an app. There's a web app. There's also an app you can download to your phone, your iPad or tablet, your computer. And it's just a great way to communicate and share files and other resources. So maybe you have these central files at the church that you don't want to go back down there. Drop them in Slack. You've got them available to you. It syncs with Google Docs, with your calendar. It syncs with Zoom. So many uses. One thing that we're doing that I've loved is all of our staff is doing a daily update, just writing a few things that they're doing, which is so neat because it gets us out of our silos. We all kind of know what each other are working on, and we can help each other. And for me as a leader, I have a chance to pray that I didn't have before. I told the staff in our meeting yesterday, I now am more aware or more targeted in my prayers for you than I've ever been, because I have a more clearly written statement of kind of what the things are you're working on in a day. And it's not this like, I hope people don't feel like this. Like it's this, I got to hold you accountable, twist the knife, make sure you do your daily posts, make it sound good. It's really a blessing. Do you feel like that, Josh, or is it okay?
No, it's definitely a
you
blessing.
have to say that because I'm close to you.
I even feel I felt challenged when you were like, I have the ability to pray for you guys now. I didn't even think of that as a application, but it's like, well, duh, like
right.
what an awesome thing to do. So
yeah, and I presume we're praying for each other as we see those kind of things. We can bring in people, like we're doing online services, so we have a little online service team. We can just drop things in there. Here's some things to pay attention to. It's been so helpful. We have the free version, haven't paid anything, and it's been working really well. And then the second thing, there's a state trooper in our church. I think I've mentioned him before, who is jacked like strong enough term, or is he beyond that?
Beyond that.
What's next?
Rocked up.
He's like
rocked up. That's a new one.
Honestly, if he wanted to, he could be a bodybuilder. Like he's built for it, and like he's just huge. So
okay. So what's the new word for that?
The new word?
Yeah.
I don't
rocked
know.
up.
Is it swole?
Swole? You could say swole.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Well, he's all of those things, and he's noticed my part of me is getting bigger, and it's the wrong parts. So when the belly comes out through the suit jacket, when the lines in my eyes disappear because they've swollen out through fatness, like it says in Psalm 73, those are problems. And he was kind enough to say, "Hey, here's a workout you should try." So just for me, he came up with this little short 5-minute workout that he gave me for a couple weeks to do, and it was hard. But he said, if you're not willing to do 5 minutes a day, you're not ever going to do anything for your health. So take this, do it for a while, and then he'll text me and follow up with me. But the short workout has helped because I always feel like, man, if I go work out, it's going to take an hour. I'm going to want to die multiple times throughout that time. Then I got to shower. It just takes up like a huge chunk of your day. But these short workouts still help you build strength, still help you burn calories, and can be done quickly and easily in the morning. So highly recommend pastors, especially guys who sit behind desks a lot. You need to get out and do something. Read David Murray's.
Can you post that workout to the notes?
Yes, I sure can.
What about our Facebook group? The Equip Facebook group.
Ooh, there you go. Good idea, Josh. Silent E.
Silent E.
Yep. And then other guys could chime in with some things that they do. So excellent. I will do that. Good idea, Joe. But yeah, if you need to read a book that was a previous top 2 of mine, David Murray's book, Reset, talks about your physical activity there. David Platt also at one point in his ministry was strongly convicted, and when that guy gets convicted about something, he does something about it. And he said he was turned into the chubby checkers, so he had to start working out. Gets up early, goes to the gym, and works out regularly. And so that's 2 ministry guys who I respect that have talked about this, and then our own state trooper.
Let me put a real context. What I have noticed in more urban and suburban areas is that there is more peer pressure to work out and to look better and to look good. Sometimes in that rural context, we don't get pushed for physical health or fitness that way in a rural context. So if we do put together a Facebook group to hold one another, physical certainly has an impact upon our spiritual health. And I think I said that correctly without being stupid. But anyway, that would be a great idea for us to be able to do that, to hold one another accountable and be healthy.
Yeah.
There you go. Very good. So with that, we out.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for joining us, guys.
Ooh.
Joe, I'm sorry.
Ray. All right.
Go ahead, Joe.
Tell me when. Raise your Ebenezer.
Goodbye. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Rural Pastors Talk, the show where we come to you from our rural place to your rural place and talk. Hey, if you'd like to stay in touch with you, if you would like to stay in touch with us, we would love that. Reach out to us, ruralpastorstalk@gmail.com. Have a lovely day. Do we do anything else now?
I'll just cut it. I'm trying to find music. I can't find it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So.
Cool. Are we still?
I'm looking out my window, and there
it's
is
still
a
recording,
river where
but it went, so it'll just won't. It'll go for like a few seconds.
Okay.
And it'll stop.
What'd you say about Cry Me a River, Joe?
I said I'm looking out my window, and there is a river where there shouldn't be a river.
Oh.